All right, welcome back to Big Data and Dim Sum, Season 2, Episode 2. We're really excited to introduce a special guest today. Before we do that, we're going to do a really quick recap of last week's episode, which Michael can tell you a bit more about. And then we'll introduce our handsome guest over here.
Oh, yes.
Sexy man.
Oh, thank you.
No, happy to be back and in person this time. I know our last episode was over Zoom, but we really wanted to get together in person and run this. But a quick recap of last episode. Focused on, we're introducing themes this time around, and we focused on travel. That was one big topic and a very broad topic. We discussed a startup idea. We kind of toyed around a little bit, and we're messing around with the idea of having like an actual like translator in a box, a portable translator, not the most feasible.
Person as a service. It's just a person in the box.
Exactly. And there was a nostalgic aspect to it, but I think what we migrated to was some software application that kind of connected all of your apps that you would need while you're traveling, whether that's translation, transcription,
anything just to like understand like the context,
navigation, the other apps. It's very fragmented. You normally need a bunch of different apps when you're traveling.
Similar to my parents' migration to Australia.
Right on. Right on, man. Right on. But yeah, that's a brief recap. If you want, definitely check out that episode. We have short form and on long form on YouTube. Just check out the whole episode. It's great, a lot of fun. Spotify as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a brief recap of our last episode.
Yeah, and I think that's the perfect segue because speaking of traveling, that's actually how I met Victor, who's our guest this week. Victor's actually all the way here from Australia. I originally met Victor when we were traveling together in Taiwan, like a few years back, and now he's like Taylor Swift on his North American tour.
True, Eras tour, Heartbreak tour.
He's on his Eras Heartbreak tour, Sadness tour.
So you're about to be a billionaire, is what you're saying?
No.
Not quite the Eras tour.
Yeah, it's close to it. Close to it. He's got the aura.
Just resell tickets. I've got a mate.
Yeah, we
got a couple more commas.
But pretty much, that's kind of the context I give about Victor, but I'll let Victor take it away. Victor, if you want to give a quick...
little intro.
A little intro about yourself. What do you want the audience to know about you?
Recently single from Australia.
Right to it.
So when I come to America, I'm a bit exotic. They sort of look at me like a specimen and they say, mate, like... where you got spiders? It's like, yeah, you guys have spiders as well. So they fetishize my accent, and then they always want me to sort of say do an American impression, and I always go like very down south and talk about Cletus.
Say that again.
Cletus from like The Simpsons. You ever watch
Cletus. I thought you were. Yeah, sorry.
I've done.
It's not a specific guy he knows.
Yeah.
He might know. Might know
Cletus.
New Orleans.
It was a bit of a mockery. Like I'm walking here, but every time I try to do an American accent, I get roasted.
It's a crowd favorite.
It is a crowd favorite though, so we'll take it.
Yeah.
So just a bit about me. I met Ryan when I was traveling in Taiwan. And since then we've kept in contact. Before I was in Taiwan, I was actually doing an exchange program in Beijing Dashware, Beijing Dashware B.
Yeah.
You guys might
Big
know
brain.
it. It is a bit big brain.
Bro.
Tell your
Big
aunties
brain.
and uncles; they've probably heard of it. Moldedong went there. Ooh, hopefully that's not a cancelled part. Well, I know where.
It's history, bro. It's history.
It's history. So I actually met Ryan's current girlfriend, Aileen, there, and. For the longest time, we've kept in contact with Ryan. I've just been saying, like, when I graduate, I'll come to America. I'll do my American tour, similar to Taylor Swift. And I'm here now. I've graduated, done my Master's of Clinical Psychology. Again, also single. And I'm excited. for this podcast.
Yeah. Awesome.
Welcome, man.
Thank you.
No, it's good to have you. One quick question, just off of just what you just introed on yourself.
Yeah.
You mentioned you feel exotic, right? You feel a little exotic, just being Australian and obviously of Asian descent as well. Do you feel that Asians, particularly of the same ethnic group, like Chinese Australians, have Australian accents that are different from like your average Australian? Just curious.
I don't know. I feel like if you think about it, it's like looking at yourself in the mirror. Like you don't really notice anything. Like when you're gymming or like when you're growing like height, it's sort of the same. And it's like I've grown up in an environment with other Australians, Asian Australians. I don't really notice the difference, but definitely when it came down to like Canada or America, like there's a different like sort of accent that I can like tell. But then again, I grew up watching like TV that's quite Americanized, so it's not anything out of the ordinary. But that's a good question, and I haven't really thought about it too much.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I was just curious because I feel like sometimes, particularly like, I mean, when you're multicultural or like your nationality is from one certain place, but you're ethnically of a different group, then, you know, when you're speaking that native, like if you're speaking Cantonese, it sounds different if you're from America or been living in America versus definitely. Like you're living in Australia as well. Yeah. And you can tell. And even if like, you know, Ryan and I are from the States, but if even we're speaking English, like our English, like people can often maybe tell that like our English sounds like Asian English versus like
it's very subtle though.
It's more subtle.
It's not like
Asians like nerdy. It's nerdy English. It's like
nerdy English.
It's like SAT vocab.
Yeah, 626%.
Yeah, 626%. It's like the ones we had to learn all the vocab words from like SAT
flashcards and shit.
It's flashcard vocabulary. That's an interesting question that you mentioned though, because I mean I know that you studied abroad in Australia as well. Like, do you feel like when you were there you felt a difference in terms of maybe, you know, obviously there's accent, but in terms of like culture or like how English is spoken or just overall vibes?
I mean, I wasn't there too long, but I feel like my experience, I mean, I've been all over, right? I've been all over.
Where have you been?
Where'd you stay? Where'd you stay in Australia?
I don't remember. I was all over. But
he was just there, man. He was everywhere.
I think, I mean, if I were to, not to generalize, but it's more of like, I feel like there's a lot of like Western English influence, but it's more of like a laid back in terms of the accent, right? The general Australian accent. It's more like a surfer meets like a British man or woman. A little bit. If someone from America were to surmise like the accent. But yeah, I mean, I love the culture. It seems super laid back. I remember we were doing a visit there. So the program was basically they scheduled a bunch of company and school visits for us to hop around and learn and engage with the community. I remember we were at one company, and in the middle of our presentation, the CEO came in late, and he said he took a break from work just to hit the tides because there was a nice wave out. He was like, I couldn't miss.
That's spot on.
He was like, I couldn't miss this wave.
It was
like
prime. Right next to the office. Like he's just like in meetings, like
it wasn't like he could just hop out, but it was like clear that he was like sopping wet. Just came back with his surfboard, and it was like it was a prime time, and I didn't want to miss it. So the company was like, that's chill. I think you can totally take advantage.
The surfboard was a dead giveaway.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But I just always thought that was a super cool aspect of like the you know, it's like a work hard, play hard, like take it easy too. Don't grind yourself to the bone. So
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. How accurate do you feel like that is to like, you know, work culture in like Australia in general? Like, does it have like, because one of the key words I learned from you was kickback, which is for people who don't know what that means, it's like just chilling. If I'm describing it correctly. But for you, like, do you feel like that kickback attitude is like general across like anything you do in Australia, or is it, you know?
I feel like it is. I feel like a lot of Australians have good banter.
True.
And was like joking around, having a good time, having a good laugh. And I think it's like universal in Australia because when I travelled to Vancouver, I was at hostel, and there's Australian from Adelaide, from Sydney, and another person from Perth. And we just clicked because we just knew. And it was a very much like a similar vibe, similar energy. We didn't take things too seriously, and I only like traveled with them for like 2 days, and we had like already inside jokes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
Damn, that's super cool.
Cultural bonding.
Yeah,
cultural bonding.
Do you think that it was because you guys were all Australian, or do you think just the vibe, like is what you mentioned, like more like lighthearted?
I think
and fun.
I think it's a bit of both. For example, when I was in exchange, I just felt like a lot of the Australians naturally gravitated towards each other. I remember I was drinking at a bar, drinking Nil Nai. I was at a bar, and then I think it was like 5 Australians and 2 Americans, and I think all the Australians was chatting and then saying like our slang, our jargon, and these 2 Americans had no idea what we were talking about. It's like a foreign language. But like it was just like good energy. We naturally gravitated towards each other, and like even though it was like a week, but again, exchange is like a different environment.
Yeah, it's accelerated.
Yeah, I think it's like expedited, easy to make mates. But it just clicked.
Yeah, damn. That's super cool though. So it's like interesting because I guess in the exchange environment, you're seeing people that you naturally gravitate more towards, other Australians and other people from different cultures. Yeah, I mean, it also seems like in general though, like at least from like the limited sample size I have, the Australians I met are like very friendly and like they can get along with anyone. That seems to be the case for you too, seeing that.
Pretty good looking as well.
Yeah, that helps with it too, you know, when you're handsome and buff. But.
Yeah, 6
foot with boots on.
Boots on.
6 foot, you mean 183?
Oh, he knows.
He knows the centimeters.
Inches?
Yeah. Inches. This man's a giant.
That's a giant, man. That's Victor Wembanyama.
It's not true.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Yeah. All right. No, that's super cool to hear kind of that experience and vibe. Yeah, but I think another thing I want to just like talk about and ask you about is like, so you've been here now a month and, you know, all around, you can kind of give the audience a good idea of where you've been, but yeah, what do you think about the States? What was your impression of it coming into it? How have you enjoyed traveling here? And how's it also like, how is it like compared to like traveling elsewhere? Because for those who don't know, like Victor is a well-traveled man. He's been everywhere, Mr. Worldwide. Yeah, and he's admitting that right now.
Similar to Pitbull.
Pitbull, yeah. The songs are about him actually when he says Mr. Worldwide.
Ooh.
He's been all over.
He's been all over.
I've been all over.
All over, every direction, man.
Directional energy.
Directional energy. But yeah, just wondering. Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, basically, what's your impression of like America and like Canada, given you've been here the past month?
Yeah, I think it depends. I started in Vancouver, then went to Montreal, then New York, then DC, then New Orleans, and now LA.
Back on the West Coast.
So I reckon Vancouver is actually quite similar to Melbourne. It's probably the most similar out of all the places I've traveled to.
What about it is similar?
An abundance of Chinese people.
Good
guess.
It feels like more like a suburbia, and then like I was saying more downtown, so it's more city. But it does feel like more of like a suburbia. It's like there is like things to do, but it feels like you sort of live there, you work, you live your life there.
It's very easy to it's very walkable too. I feel.
Oh, it's super walkable, yeah, and I think that's what I really like when I'm traveling as well, because I'm just eating, I'm feasting, I'm munching. Pretty much most of my travels is based around food and just trying spots.
That's dope. I remember in Melbourne, I think within the central business district, the train is free or the tram is free, right?
Yeah,
you can ride
free.
around, basically go around all through downtown, free of charge, which is like unheard of in America. Like,
We're not a capitalist society.
Yeah, you'd have to jump the turnstiles for that one.
Or often you'll see in New York, someone like goes through and takes one for the team. They just open the emergency exit door. I remember I saw it. I think it was a homeless dude just like opened the door and was letting people through and try to charge money. He's like, hey, I let you through. I'll give you a discent discount.
Be part of the system.
I was like, this guy's. All right, he's
How
grinding.
do you know work for MTA, man? Maybe he's a sleeper agent.
It was a sting operation.
Gotcha,
bitch. I'm thinking Dave Chappelle saying, gotcha, bitch. Yeah, maybe. But that's what that made me think of. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Back to my impressions.
Yeah.
Montreal is quite different. It's a bit more French speaking. I was staying in a place called Agrigogonon.
Close.
It's pretty nice. You got some leaves, got a good park. It's a bit colder. Definitely a French influence in Montreal. I won't mind living there. Just don't know French. I know the Eiffel Tower. I was trying to think of like the most French thing, but I couldn't.
Croissants.
Croissants, escargots, Rudy Gobert.
Wembanyama
as well.
Yeah. Tony Parker.
A
bunch of these French guys. Yeah,
he's part of the same dream team that you like.
Actually, Manu Ginobili is my favorite player. Shout out to
You're a Spurs
MG.
fan.
I'm a big Spurs fan. Yeah. I think New York. I really like New York. It's very fast paced. It's very moving. There's always something to do. Places to eat. You can always find just something. I especially like the fast pacedness because I've got a bit of pet peeve. People who walk slow. Really gets me going. Not in a good way. Like I feel like it should be
Back home.
Oh, especially back home as well. I feel like it should be illegal to walk slow on weekend if you're doing grocery shopping. At least you're not allowed like a shopping trolley. Like you're not.
You just police this shit.
Oh, I don't know how you
just wear a vest. Just wear the vest and like wear a siren.
Hi, my name is Victor.
Hello, please don't walk slow.
You'll be like the homeless guy, sleeper agent.
Sounds a bit like Singapore.
I imagine. Like I like sort of more fast paced environments.
Yeah.
Particularly like Melbourne. I think Melbourne's a good middle ground. To be honest, it's a bit slower paced compared to New York, compared to Hong Kong. But much faster paced than Perth. And I think at the start when I moved to Perth, because I did my masters in Perth, it was too slow paced for me. I always wanted to do something and get a kebab at night, see mates. But then it just felt there was nothing to do. So New York, breath of fresh air. It was great. Love the subway. Love the culture. The people there are nice. I think. I think it's just like a typical New York experience, you know. Yeah. DC, that's where I went next. I don't know. It was like quiet. I feel like politics. If you like politics, the tap water very bad. Like, oh my goodness. I don't know what they're feeding the Washington DC natives, but like.
What was bad about it? What was like?
I can't really describe it. Yeah. I can't describe it. It's like very metallic. I feel like it's like lead poisoning, you know, or like lead poisoning crossed with like some static electricity just to keep it interesting. It's just so, so bad. I remember.
I'm surprised you're alive, bro.
Oh, me too.
Made it out, man.
Me too. I have to do it for the founding fathers. Oh my goodness. No, I reckon like if Abe and like George were like still alive and tasted Washington DC water, they'll be like turning the grave.
The fact that Australians have to learn our history and we don't learn shit about it.
He knows so much about U.S. history is crazy.
It's
like
just
he'll drop,
facts.
But you'll be dropping like some random things like, who do you think was the most useless president? And then he'd be like, I think it might have been Polk or Garfield. And like, they were presidents.
It's not Polk.
Yeah.
Okay, DC is a quiet town place. Probably not my favorite. I had a mate who I stayed with and it was good. We watched some Garfield Conspiracy.
This is where he's learning on this.
Yeah, it's his friend, man. Yeah.
But I feel like DC is the place you visit with your family, and then like you hit up the Smithsonian's. There's not much to it. It's quiet. It's actually one big picnic area. So bring your picnic mats. Shout out.
See what you mean,
the
like
picnics.
all the parks and like
Near
I heard there's a couple main areas. The circles, DuPont Circle, and like is it Washington Circle? These two main areas where things are kind of centralized around.
Yeah, I think the roads and the architecture is quite nice because it's like very well planned and built.
Yeah.
And then after that was New Orleans, and New Orleans is great. I love it. It feels a bit I think the first day I was a bit spooked out. Not spooked out, like a bit of heebie-jeebies. It just felt like I was the only Asian dude there.
It's the South.
It's the South,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they eat, you know, they munch. I remember I was getting some barbecue, and then I was like, hey, like, can this like 2 meat platter like feed one person? It's like, yeah, of course it can. It's like, geez, like, oh my god, so much food. Like, oh man, it feeds like 2, I don't know, like small Chinese Australians. I don't know where I'm going with this one, but like there was a lot of food. You can feed the family. But New Orleans is great. Good music. Good energy. It's bloody electric. It's like you walk down the street and you listen to like jazz, and then it's all areas of jazz pretty much, and then like
a lot of influence from jazz music.
Yeah, definitely. And you just go left and right. You're just jumping from like one bar to a club to another bar. And
are they all like centralized, like a row of just like?
I think so, right?
Yeah,
I've just seen clips of like Mardi Gras. It's like when that celebration is just one long strip, and then people doing God knows what.
But it seems to be like 2 main streets, like Frenchman Street and Bourbon Street. Bourbon seems a bit more rowdy, and Frenchman a bit more classy. Maybe the names are like symbolic.
Yeah.
You know, escargot reference.
Group, yeah.
But I really liked New Orleans. The food was like very heavy and big. But you know, when New Orleans, you have a good feed.
You much. I remember you mentioned like the best thing you ate there was like this 10 out of 10 fried chicken.
It's crazy. It was like triple fried.
Sounds like New Orleans.
I can't describe it. It was just so good, so juicy.
Fried.
Yeah.
I remember
some heart disease, huh?
You go back for another.
It's okay.
It's worth it. You know, when you eat something, you're eating with other people. You're like, shit, I gotta share this.
But you don't want to.
You don't want to. Of course you don't. You want to eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was me.
Dang, that's crazy.
And now I'm in LA. 626 represent. Having a good time. I reckon out of everywhere so far, I'm going Vegas tomorrow, and then I'm going SF or San Fran. If you're not local.
Don't call it.
Oh,
They
you
call it
learned
San
that.
Fran.
You taught him that? Who taught him that?
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was surprised.
It's SF for the city.
You know what I
It's
learned?
SF for the
It's, the city's kind of
The Bay Area.
like
Bay
it's
Area.
just SF or the Bay. But
Yeah,
typically, also what's interesting is like if I hear people say, "Oh, like Cali," those are people who are not from California.
True.
No one calls California Cali.
Cali.
Like, oh, you're from Cali. I was in Cali. I was like, okay.
You say SoCal, NorCal.
Yeah. They split it almost in two different states. But.
Yeah, I found it interesting because like, oh, you have been to LA? It's like, no, you're in OC, Orange County.
Yeah.
Didn't make sense to me. Because I was
LA,
like,
OC.
LA is just like one area to me. I'll rock up, I'll fly a plane.
Yeah.
And there's like west side of LA,
Yeah.
east side.
Side.
There's like, you go north
Hollywood.
even into
Avenue
the
26
Oh yeah.
spots.
Ooh, yeah.
You go to the valley, right?
Scenic route.
San Fernando Valley.
San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Quite
think
the tour.
Yeah, quite a tour. I think LA so far, because I haven't been to Vegas and SF, so I can't make a full judgment.
Yeah.
It feels like the most livable. Oh, I just said Vancouver's quite similar.
Yeah.
No, I think LA is more like suburbia sort of vibes. It's the only thing I
really
don't
is,
like
yeah.
about LA is you can't walk anywhere.
Yeah.
At least on the east, it's on the east, like at least in East LA, like
Yeah.
66 area, it's
True.
harder. But
Like
if you're on the west
suburban.
side, you still have to drive. But if you were like in like a Santa Monica, it's
Culver
more
City,
walkable. Culver City,
Marina
Culver City
Del
not less walkable, but I'm just saying like
Yeah.
if you're on the beach, it's more like a beach city vibe.
There's better public transport there now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
compared to like here.
Bird scooters, you can like
Yeah.
scooter
That's
around
where they
and-
started. Yeah.
Yeah.
Public transport sucks here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really does. It really, and you'll find. I mean, you went to New York, great public transport. SF is pretty solid transport.
Yeah, right.
You'll find out as well.
MSA, MTA.
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 Yeah. Michael.
They're not your friends. They're your friends,
They're
man.
not. They're not.
fiends,
They're not my
they're
friends.
fiends.
No.
Yeah.
No, I actually, it's tough. There
It's tough.
was this one time I was.
Ooh.
This
Yeah,
was-
emotional.
Yeah, it's getting me all choked up
Yeah.
just thinking about
You
this.
see the tear?
I'm furious. I literally like
feel it.
I used to have about an hour commute from where I was living in SF into the city, because there was a lot of delays. The line would always get stuck underground, and you'd have no service, and I'd be underground for like 15, 20 minutes, so it'd extend my commute. But there was one time I was hopping on the line, and you have these clipper cards you have to tap on. And I got on, but it was a really crowded train. So I like saw an open seat. I was like, I'm gunning for that seat. So I like moseyed my way pretty quickly to that seat. Basically sat down to stop someone from sitting, and then put my bag down, and then got up. And as I was walking to tap my card, the SFMTA agent was on there, and she like blocked me. And I was like, I'm literally trying to tap, and she put her hands on me. I was like, no. She's like pushed me off. I was like, this is like, don't touch me. And basically wrote me up for like, I believe it was $120 ticket.
Damn.
And I tried to like petition against it. I wrote like a very
Damn.
long worded email and letter, and they were like, okay, well, you have to show up to court. And I was like, I don't know if I want to show up to court. I'll just pay it. So I paid it. I was very upset about the whole situation. But one of my friends, he's a little more petty. He actually went to court and went through the whole process. And
He represented himself with like,
he represented
I
himself
was
in
even
court.
higher.
yeah.
But apparently, like, he was banking on the fact that the officer wouldn't show up to court.
Yeah.
Officer showed up to court, and he just got railed. And it was just like it took a massive L, and he had to pay the money as well. So it wasn't worth it either.
Dang.
I mean, you just have to just take the loss and just pay the money.
And public humiliation too, man.
Damn,
That's-
actually.
Yeah,
That's
in
a rough
court,
time,
losing
yeah.
once financially, and then losing in court. It's just
Mentally, bro.
that's just tough.
Is that like a villain knock that'll awaken something in your mate?
Yeah.
Perhaps. I mean, this friend of mine wants to move to another area now, so I mean,
Yeah.
maybe that's a reason why.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big reason why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my fair share of SFMTA too. granted, most most, if not all, were my fault. But like, did you know in the year of 2021 or 2022, I paid the SFMTA a total of like 1,100.
Damn.
Yeah, it's like 4 or 5 tickets,
And that's USD as well.
Yeah.
I ain't messing around there.
Yeah.
I know, man. Like there was a time too where I saw the SFMTA guy drive away as he finished giving me a ticket. I was like, no. It's crazy. It's crazy. I know.
No, they don't mess around, man.
They don't
mess around.
The moment you park somewhere you're not supposed to, like they got the dispatch.
It's upsetting because you're like, how much money does the city need? And you're like, it needs a lot of money, clearly, but then there's so many other issues. That's siphoning money away from the city. I mean,
they rather
you'll see when you're in there, you'll see the plethora of issues.
Scenic.
But it's just a situation that you hope alleviates soon.
Yeah.
But
still a great city though.
Yeah,
I think there's gonna be
beautiful
a
city.
lot of areas you'll love. Especially
Alcatraz.
Food is good.
Oh, we want to go to Alcatraz.
I don't want
to go to Alcatraz. Okay.
See what Al Capone. See
You can
what's
swim
all
there.
about.
Yeah, you just go from the pier and you just
good.
hop in the water and swim.
Hey, that marathon, man.
I'd be on Bondi Rescue.
No, actually, people train for that, and they actually do the swim. It's part of a Ironman event.
Training. Yeah. Hey, you're an Ironman.
Oh,
you could do it.
I mean, you're broadcasting your single on this podcast. You might as well broadcast you're an Ironman too.
Yeah.
And I can swim.
There you go. You're from Australia. You have to swim.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Dang.
I guess I did have one question following up on what you're talking about on your tour. Like, of all the Asian communities, food-wise, culture-wise, which one do you think resonates the most with you?
Dude, it's probably LA. I heard Vancouver has a lot of good Asian food, which I didn't get to try.
You didn't go to
as much,
Richmond, did you?
I didn't go to Richmond.
Okay.
That's like straight Hong Kong kind of influence.
Oh, really?
Tang.
Yeah.
Like apparently the best spots. Like my mom's friends were like, it's just like Hong Kong.
Yeah, right. But it'd probably be LA, to be honest. LA's got a good mix of Tang, some Canto food, like Viet food, banh mi's, a lot of like Korean food. Let me tell you about some. The galbi, it's crazy. The soup galbi, the cheese galbi. Oh man, I was actually like orchestrating music in my head as I was eating it. It was crazy. It was so good.
It was life changing. And for those of you who need an Australian translator, Sam in Australian is Sanangdan, which is a chain in LA. Great for the Gabi regime.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, shout out. Sponsor us.
I would say Korean food is amazing here.
They do it right.
Yeah. Chinese food as well. Pretty second in. But you'll experience like San Francisco has some pretty good Chinese food as well. Like the OG Chinese community in the States. So
True.
It's the oldest Chinatown, I believe, right? It's
one of my friend's uncle was actually like
hangs out there.
Like a founding father of Chinatown, SF.
He built the railroads?
Not really, but I can only imagine.
The boba shops.
The boba shops.
Built the boba shops.
That's wave 2.
That's a new railroad.
That's a new railroad. Yeah. Connecting the bridging the cultures, man. Damn, man. Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you to try it. I mean, if you like Sanangdan so much, you should really try Daeho. Daeho is the same thing. It's
right.
Yeah.
Keen, very keen.
Yeah, be a good time. Long wait though, as you would expect. Yeah. All right. Well, I think I do want to ask you, one more question before we do transition to everyone's favorite part, the startup idea.
I'm ready.
Yeah. So you mentioned this in your intro about how you just finished studying clinical psychology. Just really interested in kind of like your thoughts on what got you into like clinical psych and like what it's like working with patients, but also like kind of like the importance of mental health like to you, and also maybe more broadly growing up like Asian Australian.
Yeah, right.
Like, just that whole
heavy hitters.
Yeah. Hard question, I know.
It is a hard question. It's a good question because to be honest, like when I first finished high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I think it's a typical get into like the best university in your area sort of thing, and sort of figure it out. And I sort of wish I spent a bit more time, maybe even took a year off, just to, like sort of figure that out. And I just landed in psychology because I thought it was cool. Yeah. I thought you sort of like lie down and then whip out your pocket watch and then
psychoanalyze people.
Psychoanalyze, heal, and then
heal.
That's not what it's about apparently. And it's not. I think I was just really fortunate that I did psychology in my undergrad, and then honors and then masters. I just really enjoyed it. particularly like I guess what motivated me to continue was that just a lack of talk of mental health, especially in like the Asian community. It's very much swept under the rug. I feel like a lot of like family members, my mates, my Asian mates, have quite an avoidant attachment. Their view on relationships is quite, I guess, achievement focused, transactional, and I wonder about like their upbringing, my parents' upbringing, their parents' upbringing, and how it's got so entrenched and ingrained in culture.
Like
And
generationally.
yeah, exactly. And then like dilian and the embarrassment of like not doing well, and that sort of really trickles down and affects like someone's psyche, an Asian Australian growing up. And I think it's just not talked about enough. It's very much swept under the rug. And I thought to myself, like, how can I contribute to this cause? How can I be a part of this issue? And I thought by actually going into a field and getting some experience, I can sort of be the change I want to be.
Dang, Gandhi.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah. Eye for an eye makes the whole world blind.
Yeah. Dang, so like now that you kind of mentioned you have a better idea of what that's actually like, how do you feel like it, like, well, how do you personally enjoy it, and like what are the changes you're seeing and maybe your understanding of mental health or maybe even the people around you?
I think I've become more open as a person. I feel like I'm quite more attuned to myself and my feelings. I think previously I was like, again, that sort of kickback mentality and going with the flow, and then like people suggest things like, yeah, let's do that. But these days I'm like sort of seizing it more, seizing what I'd like to do. If I'm uncomfortable, if I don't want to do something, I'm like, nah, I'm chill. And not really having to like say sorry about this, sorry about this. This is just like what I want to do. This is what I want to spend my time doing. I think it's really helped me as a person. In terms of like helping others as well. It's very like cliche and generic, like I'd love to continue helping others. What I've sort of found like seeing patients, seeing clients is like sometimes like therapy and like mental health might not be relevant right now. And it's not necessarily like these big changes, it's these small incremental changes that can sort of snowball into a big change. Like for example, just like buying yourself or rewarding yourself after you've done like a test, or like a hard day's work, just rewarding yourself rather than sort of being self-critical and nitpicking about the things you didn't do or you missed. I don't know, I just like sort of being a part of that. I feel like I've been rambling a lot. And
no, I think these are all good points. I think they're all coherent points. Yeah. Thank you.
That's awesome. We appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's definitely something like we've experienced either firsthand or like third hand, seeing it from like people with, growing up in the environment we grew up in, which is, for context, very competitive Asian area, right, where everyone's very focused on the very transactional and also very achievement focused area. It was something not prioritized. I think we each kind of went through our own internal personal journey to like figure out mental health and like what it looks like for us, and seeing that for other people. And I think that like I really like how you mentioned that whole thing of like just awareness, right? And like kind of the compounding aspects of mental health, where you being aware of it and making those positive changes can lead to such a great improvement in how you process and also like cut, for example, generational trauma. I think there's a lot of these things too where I think taking a step back and being more self-aware now, I realize like it's easier to criticize when I was like younger for my parents to be like, hey, why are they like this? How'd they react like this? But I'm also like, hey, I didn't get on a boat from Vietnam here and experience the same trauma they did. But at the same time, like being aware of the trauma, being aware of like healthier processing because of advanced psychology, but also awareness and destigmatizing it has made me more understanding of like, okay, well, there's part of me to acknowledge this happened and like their experiences and their struggles, but also part of me to like stop the cycle here. And I think that's something I've realized a lot, introspecting more, and I think it's very consistent with what you're sharing here too.
I think that lines up though, because you really have to understand it first. Take yourself and put yourself in your shoes of your parents or your guardians, whoever raised you in that environment. Try to understand where they were coming from. What their parents probably gave them or weren't able to give them definitely affected how they were able to give or not give to you. And if you're able to understand that, you can kind of think objectively, and then take that and compare it to your situation and what you want to be for the future for your kids, your progeny, how you want them to treat their future kids as well, your future grandkids, and you want to try to be better than the situation, or be better than you were. At least you want your kids to be better than you were. Right. So that's ultimately the cycle that you hope fulfills itself.
It's improvement over time, kind of what you mentioned, right? The more snowball effect in the positive sense. Of like, you're not gonna be able to like cure a whole generation or several generations of issues, but you can do your part in like at least changing the way you view it, and like inspiring the next generation to see that the different way. Like, not just like your family directly, but even what you're saying, right? With like your friends and your family and broader community than just like your immediate circle.
I like to think like a lot of parents are just trying the best.
Yeah, that's a...
Like the hope, right?
Yeah, I like the hope. I like the hope very much, and I
think it's true.
Very much like believing that. Like, I feel like my parents tried their best. I made sure I was always like fed, had clothes and everything. I feel like it's the same. It's just like, if you can have that empathy and compassion, it's just sort of take that step back and like, okay.
And I think the fact that you're able to understand that means that your parents did a good job. Right? The fact that you were raised to be a person who can think back, reflect on themselves and their upbringing, and understand that, as you said, your parents tried their best. That means they did a good job, right? Versus you having any like resentment or like unhealthy anger towards them, would be a whole different scenario.
It's about like zooming out.
Yeah. And I think that like it's interesting because I think talking to a lot of friends, where, as I mentioned, grew up in a similar environment, there is it's easy to slip into that resentment, because I guess it's the easy way out of like, oh, they were the problem and that's why I can blame them for it. But I think even for myself personally, like having been in phases like that, what I realize is like there's a lot of like liberty that comes from acknowledging like, hey, I'm responsible for what happens. I'm responsible for these things, even if I'm not the one who caused it.
Yeah.
And I think that gives a lot better of a perspective. And I've seen that generally too with like some friends where we have similarly, like, for example, before my parents were really strict. They're not anymore. They're really chill with me now. But in similar cases, like, it's hard because you associate so much of your childhood with that. And you go through kind of the whole, like, stages of, like, grief, right? Of, like, there's like, a bit of anger. There's a little bit of, like, pulling back. And then finally you, like, have acceptance at the very end. And I think that's something that I'm seeing a lot of, like, our age group come into now, right? Where you, like, genuinely appreciate it. And I think the culture that we talked about with, like, college students in the U.S., where everyone kind of goes away for a few years and then they regroup, I feel like it's actually a pretty healthy thing, like, mentally and relationship wise, because you come back a different person. I think parents recognize that and respect
you're able to grow
that.
independently.
Exactly, but knowing you still have that home base. And I think that's something I've seen a lot in at least our friends, or like, friends of friends, in talking about these issues. So yeah, it's pretty interesting to see that it's like the cycles and seasons we kind of all follow. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, they got really deep. I didn't expect it to go into a really deep talk.
Yeah, you just make me want to stare into nothing.
Yeah, no, now I just want to, like, hop back in your Honda Fit and just talk until like 5 a.m. about like, damn, what's the trauma in 3rd grade? We got a lot of trauma dumps we could do too, but that's not today. That's not the focus today.
Yeah,
that's the theme. That's the theme today.
It's just trauma.
Trauma
is the theme. Yeah.
We got another hour and a half.
We got another 5 hours to talk about trauma. This is a 8-part series actually. But I think I'm good on my questions, unless Michael, you have anything you.
No. I think we can hop to the next part of our segment. I mean,
as
much as I'd love to just keep chatting like this. I mean,
hey, that's after. That's the post.
It's after. That's after.
That's the post. Just chat, chill.
Yeah.
But yeah, Michael, want to refresh everyone's knowledge of what we're trying to. What we're doing in this segment.
Yeah, I mean, this segment is I guess, our initial core of our the genesis of our podcast, being about, the big data aspect of our name, Big Data and Dim Sum, which is, some tech oriented or business oriented startup that our guests typically come on and bring an idea. Not to put any pressure on you. If you didn't bring an idea, that's totally fine. We just like to take a theme and just spitball, brainstorm any of our, ideas for, like, ingenuity in these different respective sectors, and kind of run from there. And then we go through a checklist. Doesn't have to be that formal, but just see if this idea is ultimately a good one. Or
feasible.
One. Yeah, feasible.
Yeah, basically
feasible.
Yeah. So I think, with today, given that, Victor had some fun ideas he gave me like a 1 second pitch of each one before on the way here. We don't have a theme for today because Victor has it. So I'm just let Victor,
take it away.
Pitch either both or one of them, and we'll explore one of them more in depth.
So I'll start with this one. So when I was in Perth, as I said, it's very laid back, it's very slow pace.
Yeah.
So I tried to get into photography.
Big camera guy.
Big camera guy. I've got a lot of cameras, and just taking photos, mainly film. But I started with a digital, just a Canon EOS 1300D, a typical like stock standard beginner camera. And I was like thinking about photography a lot, and then there's just such a big market, for a lot of milestones, particularly weddings. But there's also engagements, there's birthdays, and there's like parties, prom, formals. So photography is a huge industry, and once you sort of plug in that sort of title before the photo shoot, that's where that money comes in. And I was like, is there a hole in the market, or how can we sort of make this into like a capitalist entrepreneur adventure? So you think about like, you're starting out as a couple, you've got like your typical, maybe you have a fun couple pics, and then maybe it gets a bit more serious, a bit more like you get your engagement pics, and then you get your wedding pics. And then eventually maybe you have, they get pregnant, or you get a kid and you get like maternity photos.
Yeah.
So there's essentially like a timeline, a picture timeline of all these milestones.
Yeah.
And I think the hole in the industry is preconception photography.
I wasn't sure where he was going with this. I was like, there's definitely, this market has been served. It's a million times over. And then he adds preconception. Preconception, there is a hole. You're right.
So, as I said, the maternity pics, engagement, you got weddings, preconception photography.
Preconception
photography.
I mean, I think that exists, bro.
I think it's a different name.
I think you got to be 18 and older to check out that photography.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What does it exist in?
What? Okay. How about it? What value would this bring to the market? Who is looking for this photography? How about I lay that for you right there?
Good question.
Who are you showing it to?
Yeah. Families. You think about it.
They want to be okay. Carry on.
You sort of reminisce with your kids, like, okay, see when your year one photos, this is you when you're a baby. This is you before birth.
This is you when your mom was a baddie.
Exactly.
Jeez,
that's different. I like the momentum. Now that we heard the first one, what's your second idea?
The second one. Okay. Again, when I was also in Perth, I was very much into like lifestyle factors, diet, sleep, exercise, and particularly for yoga as well, because I was reading a book called The Body Keeps the Score, great book. Saying yoga and trauma and just like breath work. So I was doing a bit of yoga, and I was like really interested in yoga. There's a lot of positions. And I was like thinking, how can we optimize yoga? How can we make it more efficient and like draw people in? And like at the time, there was just like everyone loves dogs, So dog yoga, dog yoga. And so that's how you reel them in. And people are thinking it's like gonna be yoga plus like dogs in the background, but it's not. It's just downward dog for 1 hour.
Are there dogs?
No.
There's no
that's
dogs.
how you reel them in. Dog yoga.
No dogs. All the marketing is just dogs.
There's just dogs.
It's just downward dog for 1 hour.
And then you're the dog.
Well, I'm a dog for
downward. He's a
profiting.
Downward. He's a dog.
So I'm a bit of a downward dog, but I'm an upward dog in profits. So those are my two ideas.
Okay.
My ball's in your court. But it's not preconception.
Okay, yeah. I get what you mean. The ball's in our court.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's add a framework to this, I guess. Let's try to think this through.
Let's see which one is more
You know,
violent.
one. Thank you for bringing these ideas. These are definitely innovative.
Yeah.
One, I guess let's start with the first topic that you mentioned: preconception photos, and does this include film?
Both ways.
Multimedia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Multimedia.
Videography is also a big industry.
Is there audio?
I'll allow it.
There's audio. Okay.
Whatever people want.
So this is it's it.
I think it exists.
So if we're I think
big market though.
So what I'm saying is like I think this already exists. It's a big market. I mean, what's the difference between some person out there who already has their content online on a certain website, and it just so happens they made a baby that way. This baby in the future could then get access to that footage through a common domain.
It's like a family video. It's like, oh, you want to see your first birthday? You want to see your preconception video. See, right now it sounds...
That sounds very meta, actually. I feel like some celebrities would do that.
Actually, yeah.
Now that I'm thinking of it, next, when people start living on Mars, and then you just say, yo, check this out. This is his first birthday party. And then you're showing a 1-year-old, how he was conceived. And then just scarring him or her for the rest of their fucking life.
But it's not meant to be a pleasurable... it's material. It's
for pain.
It's a recording of your sort of timeline. So all these milestones, before the 1-year-old, before the baby shot, before that, the preconception shot.
Yeah, it's part of the timeline. I get
Yeah.
But it also seems so limited to just that one.
It's a hole in the market.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to dig into.
It is interesting.
Thoughts?
I like it, but I also did like the original direction you were taking, the yoga. Because, I was just thinking about yoga with animals. Because when you said the dogs, I'm like, oh, yoga with cats I've seen. Yoga with dogs I haven't.
But there are no dogs, bro.
Yeah, no dogs.
No. But if we change our idea to be what people think it is, which is yoga with dogs, or yoga with any animal you want, that'd be kind of fire.
So they already have these things, right? I mean, I know part of what ties with mental health, dogs are known to I guess relax, especially during relax humans, especially during finals week. Service animals as well. A lot of institutions, academic institutions, they'll have this is a dead week for finals. We'll bring dogs allow it into the campus, and you'll see people just playing with dogs for a couple hours to de-stress after grinding in the library for a while. Yeah. So I definitely think they're correlated. Yeah. I feel how would you monetize that? In terms of if people are offering these services for free, who's going to pay for it? Maybe
someone's paying them, right? When you bring it to college campus, it doesn't come free. I feel like
who has access to dogs? I mean, you could bring your own dog.
Humane Society. Yeah, you bring your own dog.
Right.
Yeah.
See, right now you're shifting an idea to something that already exists.
Exactly.
But what I want to do is create 1 hour of Downward Dog. A great sort of position.
No, we got it. Yeah, we understand what you're trying to do. Just like we understood what you're trying to do with the first idea.
How would you monetize?
How would I monetize?
What's your go-to-market? How would you get customers, essentially?
Yeah.
For both, actually. Let's talk about this one, and then we'll jump back to the first.
The first one's easy. It's just a part of the sort of your life cycle milestones. You advertise it like that.
Yeah.
But these are publicly available.
Yeah. Well, to your family, you can show whoever you want.
No. But are they public available, or is it by link only?
No,
it's you choose.
Yeah. Well, it depends.
His face makes it seem like he wants this publicly available.
No.
It's more I own you. I know how you conceived. Bullying is gonna be crazy in school.
No, it's not. It's not public available. It's like your wedding pictures. You take it. You can post it on Instagram. You can post it on Facebook. Whatever you want.
You can choose it. Yeah.
So it's a digital file that you get sent personally.
Yeah, but you can also perhaps customize it. Add a soundtrack, add music, maybe credits as well.
And that becomes
the
soundtrack to your life.
And what sort of differentiates it from perhaps other content of similar nature? It's essentially birth is happening. As we're seeing birth happen.
Would you film the birth section too?
That could be an adjacent market?
Yeah. So it could be multiple sort of videos. It's
a different product, right? It's a different product entirely.
Yeah. One part maybe no preconception. One part post-conception. And one part maybe the guy's willy doesn't get off. One part. Yeah, there could be a lot of
one part
barriers.
with contraception, one part without
Exactly.
contraception.
Exactly.
You get every variation.
It's multifaceted, man. This is I believe the market's large. I really do.
Actually, the more I'm thinking about it, it's like this is actually legit. Because you mentioned the celebrities thing. Like, if it's the new hottest thing where it's like, hey, like, dude, you got that preconception video. Like, even that term sounds like, ooh, it sounds legit.
Yeah.
Like, but when you think about it a bit more, you're like,
no,
wait,
because
that's just.
I remember I mean, you find this watching.
Do you remember your own video?
Not my video.
Okay.
Please, no. I'm talking about like I remember if you ever watched like E, they have a lot of reality shows. I think it was probably on the Kardashians. I used to watch a little bit of the Kardashians in high school, and they would it was kind of new and novel for people to like eat their own placenta, right? Like after you give birth, it's like or something you eat placenta or something.
It replenishes.
It replenishes
your own.
I think it's your own. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't quote me, but I remember
like when you spit out a loogie and then you eat it. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you got mucus. Nah, just me.
I don't know if the nutritional value is the same, but perhaps.
I think it's quite similar to digesting your own birth.
Okay, that was what I was gonna say. Don't say, but
you too. But he said it.
He said it. Okay,
and that's exactly what it is.
It's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Yeah. So I mean, it's very. At that time, I was like, why would you do that? You know, what are the benefits of eating like your own placenta? It seems like, you know, among the ultra rich elitist community, that's something that's very common, and there's a lot of benefits actually to doing that. So
yeah,
I feel like this idea has really sort of shaken the foundations of sort of your core in a way. Like it's really threw you off your game because I guess right now it's incomprehensible. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, if you give it some time to sort of digest, just like digesting the video content of your birth, you'll see.
We'll see.
No, it's fair though, because like it really is one of those things where as we think about it, like
it makes sense.
Because like the go-to-market and the target market, it seems a lot more clear to me now.
Yeah.
It's like people who are like following these trends where it's like, oh, this is like a meaningful trend. Where you're right, it's a gap in the market. No one's doing this because you're either filming like actual like porn for the industry or you're like filming like wedding photos, right? But this is like an intimate gap.
Exactly.
No one really films for, like, because no one's like, hey, like, could you get a video of us making love for this purpose?
Well,
yeah.
Wait,
on that point, hang on. Oh, go ahead.
You think before cars were invented, what we have?
Horses.
Yeah, and then before that, it was just like no one would thought about cars. They was like, oh, just get a faster horse.
Yeah.
So to start us off, we have to sort of set the trend. Yeah, we have to build a car, and this is the engine waiting to happen.
Dang, okay.
I was gonna say on the previous point that there are people who I remember like you can pay or something for like your own like O face. You know what I mean?
Oh.
The sounds or some shit. Like that could be actually an avenue. It's kind of related, right?
Yeah.
It's semi-related. Like, you know, you pay for that, like your face at orgasm or something, and then I don't know where I was going with this, but I just thought like that was kind of a parallel.
I get what you mean. Like people, there's people want.
There's a market,
and
and
like,
that's a different market.
Typically,
it's a different market than like celebrating my life.
Mm.
It's not like a celebration of life market. It's like a taboo market, which
right
is
now.
for right now. But that's what I'm saying is an additional avenue that can venture into down the road.
But it's also less taboo the more you think about it, because even though it has the same connotation as it, it's different because the purpose is to be a meaningful like life trajectory type of thing, right? It's like. Yeah, like it could be something you can choose to like watch or not, but it's still part of that aspect. But also, it kind of gives a more like idea of like, oh, maybe it's a more intimate like couple content. It doesn't have to necessarily be limited to that.
Exactly.
But like for example, no one hires like a wedding photographer to be like, hey, can you film me like making out?
Yeah,
like it's like just take a
like
photo of
your
a
first date, right?
A first date, yeah.
First time you like cuddle for like all these like smaller milestones.
Where it's more intimate, but it's not like. Also, it's not like caught in just a single still photo.
Yeah.
But also not like extremely like, you know, where it's explicitly for, you know, the purpose of like filming content online, right? Like it's just to capture more intimate moments. So I think that is the whole gap of the market, which I see. I definitely see it now.
And you think about like you can bring it out on birthdays, anniversaries.
Yeah. Anniversaries, rewatching it. Yeah.
Father's Day, Mother's Day.
Okay. I guess it depends what
Christmas,
Hanukkah.
you're the present. You know?
Yeah.
So who are you thinking is capturing these videos? Is it independently, like each creator is capturing their own video, or are you have a third? Is there a third party that's you're gonna bring in and capture these videos for you?
Oh yeah, third party. It's similar like a photographer that you hire for anything. You know?
There's quite a lot of overlap then with a lot of different industries.
So are you gonna basically do like is this a platform type of thing? Like you want to build a platform that enables this, or are you running the thing where you find the photographers, you find the couples, you kind of join them together? Like how would you basically, because anyone could like with their idea right now just do it, right?
Yeah.
Independent contractor, right? But what makes, I guess, the idea we're pitching different?
Well, first you need to start off building sort of your clientele.
Okay.
I guess.
And what clientele would that be?
Yeah. What's
Families.
Okay,
And families exist.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, so now that you have that, where are you finding photographers? Because it's kind of a gray zone of like people who are filming like in like the porn industry, right, are like doing that for that purpose. It's not like the same type of thing because it's the style of like a wedding photo or that intimate thing that's not like an intimate action but more intimate occasion with like intimate actions too, right? So like where are you pulling photographers from? Where are you finding people who are willing to do this too? Because like I don't think wedding photographers will be like, yo, I don't want to be at the preconception shoot, you know.
That's the thing though, because right now it sounds so out of pocket that it's not, I guess, normalized.
Yeah.
But once you sort of sell the idea, once you sort of start out and sort of like market it,
Yeah.
then it's like, oh shit, like, yeah, I'm a wedding photographer and a preconception photographer. So you wear many hats.
Actually, it sounds legit though.
And
So
what's
basically
different?
like that, yeah.
What's different to say the porn industry? That's meant to, like, entertain others. That's what other people sort of consume.
But this
you
is
know?
for your own enjoyment.
And there's sort of like a storyboard. Maybe be in this position. Maybe be a bit louder. You know, it's acting.
So,
but this is organic.
It's intimate.
It's intimate.
The
it's
experience
organic.
you're having as a couple, as a family.
So it seems like this business, like, really is grounded in the fact, or will take off if it's really stems. Like, I'm trying to think of the way I say it, but it's basically like if there is growth, and in terms of like acceptance among public for this as a milestone. That will act as a tailwind for this business, right?
Yeah, but
so it has to be accepted like a preconception as like it's not a holiday, but as an important milestone in every person's life. If that becomes the norm, then this business really has a way to accelerate growth, right? And has a market.
Yeah.
But that it stems upon the fact that exists, or that will become the fact, and that will become the norm.
Well, you can ease them into it because I think with what Victor was saying, like obviously caught us off guard when he was just saying straight to preconceptive, right? But there's also this middle ground of intimate things that are not necessarily that, that completely
right. So I guess it doesn't have to be that one thing, but a series of smaller things still have to become the norm for people to want to celebrate.
Exactly.
Right?
So you're selling them on each one of those things, and it's a different type of style and different type of experience. But it's also interesting because it's so novel. It could be a trend, right?
Yeah.
Like I think it's
among like a certain community. Yeah, it's very niche.
Like if you make it like TikTok trend, for example, like the marketing here could be like pops up on TikTok, like oh my gosh, the newest preconceptive videos, trending on TikTok.
Yeah.
I mean not the videos, but you know what I mean, like the general trend.
Again, it doesn't need to be just videos. It can be photos, and very much you need to share it with the public. You can if that's your choice.
Yeah. I think the privacy things will be important too, like making it clear,
very
like,
important,
like security, encryption, everything, and also like you have, people looped in that aren't going to leak things. That's also hard because that's an ethical concern there, right? Of like they have access to intimate moments. Like that's the hardest thing because I think people do want to capture intimate moments, right? Like
exactly.
It depends how like there's a spectrum of what people want to capture. But I think the fear of hacks and leaks and stuff, I think will be a big like hindrance to adoption. But the trend I could see it popping up.
So let's try to like materialize this, right?
Yeah,
so
how do we make it happen?
Does this is it an application, like a software app that you upload your videos to, and then you can customize it and edit and create this like reel of your preconception video, or is it more so like one umbrella, like a company with a bunch of photographers independently operating under that person, and it's actually like you're working across, like you have to streamline devices and video content.
Like a Fiverr for preconception.
Exactly. So how is it? How do you envision it? Or how we can just brainstorm this? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what your original vision was, and we can.
Well, I feel like you need to start small and sort of build the idea, and so I guess again normalizing it. And then once I've got sort of the market and sort of expanding it, the conglomerate, and then once make it into like a software similar to like Uber or Airbnb.
Yeah.
But you got first normalize it, similar, get the trend going, where be like TikTok is how you market it, and then sort of making a monopoly of just like photographers, videographers, and in terms of like editing, you can do I guess Lightroom, you can do like some touch-ups, you can make it black and white, you can do silent.
You can also like charge extra additionally for like these features.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially with all the generative AI stuff for yourself too.
Yeah,
but that gets into more
generative
dicey territory.
Definitely.
We won't explore that right now.
I think it's very much just getting like everyone on board, like dipping their toes in the water, and then once like they're eventually in the water, they get acclimated and just sort of jumping right in and getting the market.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. So basically, we're like what I'm condensing it to here is like a phased approach. Like, get this trend started and be the ones who are like, you have a limited group of photographers and clientele that you're focusing on, maybe like power players of like the Kardashians of the world, like people who would actually do this and take it seriously, and not just be like, oh, what the fuck, it's stupid.
It's idea. A symbol, right? Yeah,
it's a symbol of like it's exclusive.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's something my kid's gonna have, and so I guess I see like that's a good start. And then as you build traction, it is like building it up into an app, if I'm correctly summarizing it.
$1 million. You'll already be rich.
That's solid. So I guess what other breakdowns we have to do here? We can have an idea now of like marketing would be if you can get influencers hyped about this idea. Where you can start on a small scale, like start with people that are more like open-minded to try it, and then go from that and see if it hits critical
likely
mass.
I think you just, because this is like consumer-oriented, you're going to have to like offer the service for free first, and then I think that it's going to have to catch fire in a certain community. So you want word of mouth, and you want each person who uses the platform to be like a power user for you. So they'll basically like every single person they're meeting in their communities, they're like showing them the video, they're talking about it, and before it like catches fire, every single person's going to want to do it, and then that's when they come to you, and then you start charging maybe a fee.
That's not even something anyone needs to see per se. I think it's just the fact that people are talking.
No, just talking about it. Yeah, I mean they can see it, but like the fact that you're just talking about it, and
but the fact that you have this artifact for your kid in the future.
But honestly, maybe no one will ever watch it, right? It's just it's the fact that you have it. Like this is yours. It's like your wedding video, right? Like this is our wedding video. You don't have to watch it. It could be like 5 hours long. Just knowing you have it. Just knowing you have it. So I agree. Yeah.
I'm holding your point, and first starting off and sort of making this product free. I want to cheapen the product.
How much would you charge?
No, but I'm thinking of it as like non-alcoholic beer,
Oh, so a premium.
Essentially the same as beer. The same as making a video or photography, like sort of board or whatever. Because like, non-alcoholic beer is like, do you want to charge it less and then see it as less than beer? So yeah, I feel like you start to a similar range, perhaps even cheaper at the start, but still charging a premium, so it's again that exclusive product.
It does make sense too, because I think I even catch myself sometimes when I'm looking at stuff on Amazon, like this must be better because it's more expensive. So I guess it needs to be not so unreasonable, but reasonable enough to where someone who's like rich and has money just to throw could be like, yeah, I would do this, So I do agree with it. I guess it's a matter of like, who do you target, or maybe even like you have this idea like. It's hard because it's a chicken and egg problem, right? You want people to be willing to pay for it, but you also need to get the word out. Yeah. But how do you get the word out if you're not getting paid to do it because no one knows what it is, right?
Yeah.
Unless you have that in with the celebrity, like,
I mean, celebrity endorsements are probably the best way to acquire customers. It's best marketing strategy. I think also like there's like the belly button cords. That kids when you're born, they snip the cord, umbilical cord, sorry, and they can like basically, I don't know if they shape it into something or like put it into some like necklace or you can wear like something, like
so same genre basically,
same genre, or like it's like the same as like there'll probably be mad decay, but like your tooth, right? Like your kid's tooth, you take it and you like sand it down into something like a ring or something. Just that's kind of creepy, but.
It makes sense though.
Yeah, just so you can feel closer to that person.
Exactly.
Right.
It's an intimacy thing too, because it's an artifact for yourself to be like,
feel closer to your kids, to your parents, to your family.
Yeah. Okay. Then that's what we're selling them on. It's like a closer experience, which it really is. It's intimacy. Dang, that's really interesting. I guess I'm curious now. So now that we have kind of a general idea and like how we market it and kind of the different like pros and cons of it, yeah, like how do you see this go from like once it takes off to the platform? Like how would we be able to scale that? Like, are we capped at a certain market at a certain point where we hit our niche and then there's no growth to be done, or is it something that could take over the world? You know, so I feel like it's very like L.A. Hollywood, eccentric rich people shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I would describe
Hamptons.
the market. Yeah. Well, not even that.
Maybe
Hamptons.
not.
More conservative.
Yeah, more conservative.
L.A.
actually.
for sure. L.A. SF.
LA, yeah.
In New York, maybe they're probably like, yo.
That's true.
Know.
That's true. A lot. I feel like quite a lot of tech money in SF would do it.
Yeah. Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
for
Man.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they would like drive their Tesla straight to the shoot. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, but that's the point I'm trying to make. But
how we scale it.
How do we? Yeah, like, do you think there is a point at which we reach a plateau, or is it like an infinite? Like, oh, you see this, like, everyone's doing it. Yeah.
I don't know. In terms of like scalability, I feel like I'm not that ambitious. Once I guess it's at a good rate with like steady income, then I'm happy to just leave it like that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The one thing I see with this business model is that, you know, you're looking at families, so your market's kind of limited to families, or people starting families, and then, you know, it's kind of highly dependent on how many kids that family has. It's basically just a one and done for each kid, right?
Yeah.
So eventually you'll have families and customers that churn out of your platform because they're done having kids.
Yeah.
And then it's not like as sticky, or there's not a repeat customer.
Sure.
You know, like let's say after 2 kids, I'm done.
Yeah.
Then I only have 2 videos, so I use your services twice, and then I'm no longer on your platform.
It's a subscription model to access to video.
To keep access, you have to keep paying for perpetuity.
Hey, some companies are doing that type of pricing, which
But
is
the same,
scammy.
the same can say for weddings. You know, wedding photography is a one-time thing.
Yeah,
Good
but
point,
that's a
good
one-time
point.
thing. Yeah, but you actually
But this can be a multiple-time thing, restricted to how many children or like, sort of like, children they want to have.
yeah.
That's true.
I'm actually
Good
not.
point, though.
It's a good point, but I'm
Yeah.
actually not sure how the outlook of like the photography market is.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I'm not sure like if a lot of things people are doing more independently, like on their own with the creator economy.
Yeah.
You know, people just taking their own wedding shoots. So I'm not sure if the market size is capped and if the growth is like has stagnated at all. That'd be one concern.
It's not necessarily the same clientele, because like, if you think about a wedding, you're like, okay, do you have a photographer? You know?
Yeah.
And you think of like preconception, it's like, okay, do you have a videographer? Do you have a photographer? That's what we want to try and get the market into, when it's like normalized like that. And then, weddings are one-time thing, but then you have multiple children.
But intimate moments are also not a one-time thing. So if we play more into like kind of the center point, the kind of the shock factor, is like preconception video, but the spread of like, a kissing video or a cuddling video, these things that are like not currently in the realm of any photography, of any type of photography or videography, then I think there is a case to be said about, like, he's an intimacy photographer, you know, where it's not limited to just the like ultimate act of intimacy, but like everything surrounding
But
that.
then you're just you're maybe a pioneer in the industry, creating more jobs for other people. But how are you monetizing as a business, growing your business, making sure you have a competitive moat,
Platform.
and a platform that works and is better than other platforms? Because then people like me at home or someone at home could just do their own and be like, okay, I like this idea of making a video for preconception for my future kid, but why do I need to go to you to do it if I can just do it on my own?
Hey, I can take my wedding photos. I can just do that myself.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but I mean,
You want
I think
professional, like you want a product, you want a service.
I think it's curation. I think it goes back to that, like, because when you think about like a good wedding photographer, right? Like, as context, my roommate's a really good wedding photographer. Like, you know, it's typically you see the level of quality that they can do, right? There's also trustworthiness and also an aspect of like people are vetted, right?
Yeah.
Like, you want to just like let some rando take your wedding photos
No,
because
that's
like
fair, yeah.
it'd be like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So I think with that, I think it goes maybe the more Netflix model of content, right? Where you're not opening everyone up to like upload like YouTube, but you're having like curated like templates and tools and a platform for people to find these things, and also most importantly like the privacy aspect of it too, right? Like, that's already like a big thing in and of itself, right? Like, why would you trust some random person on Fiverr to do this for you? Like, I wouldn't know if it'd be leaked or whatnot, right? But if this is well vetted, there's like some legal and privacy and technological risks are assessed here.
yeah,
I think I would be a lot
little
more
more
inclined to
comfortable.
do it. Otherwise, I don't think I would do this at all, right? Like, if we're going big here, like, we would probably want to be a trustworthy platform.
Exactly.
So I think that is where I see, to Victor's point, this being like this taking off, because you're the premier place to provide these things. It's not just so much the service you provide, but what the service implies and what it needs as infrastructure, legally, technologically.
And then you can eventually branch out. You can get people, instead of doing like videos or photography, the painting at the weddings.
Dang. So you're basically just getting different, like, you're just basically giving a trusted place of...
You can sort of get someone to accept the environment, plan sort of the bed, plan the ground.
Intimacy artist platform.
Exactly.
Dang, so we're creating a genre and we're creating the business around it.
Yeah.
And that's
it's like
cool,
a pioneer.
though.
No, it's very common.
Because you pioneer something, then you can set the rules of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is...
Well, if you're good at it.
If you're
good at it.
exactly.
Yeah. Otherwise, you play by someone else's rules who does it better than you.
Yeah.
But no, I like it. You're kind of creating a Wild West, a new industry.
Yeah, man. We're not sheep. We're wolves. We hunt.
You heard it here.
You heard it here first. That's going to be the outtakes.
Okay. So why don't we, it seems like we have like a solid core understanding of the business. Yeah. Why don't we just tick through the checklist?
Yeah, let me bring out the checklist.
Yeah, and see how viable this may actually be. We have our biggest proponent over here.
We do. But let's go ahead and go through the 5 or 6 things we usually go through.
Yeah.
So is the offering unique? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I think, of course.
Hole in the market.
It's very unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. Highly unique.
Highly unique, bro. Is there a large market? If not, is it growing? That hinges on us getting the traction to build out.
The market isn't there right now. It can be.
But it's creating a new market, so you can't really analyze an existing market. Yeah.
Exactly. We can analyze probably wedding photography as like a baseline, because you're basically multiplying that by like a constant number of like how many kids you have, just as a like, gross approximation.
Right. You can estimate it. Yeah.
Okay, so there is, but
possibly,
but is it growing? We don't know because it's not a market yet.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe the question there is, it goes back to what's the cap on the market. I guess it goes back to how many kids and how many
what the average family size is. But then there's multiple avenues, right? You're saying you can venture out, move into like other intimate aspects of your life, and then it's uncapped.
Yeah, so it's hard because it depends on how these things take off and how trusted the offering is.
And then you can become a whole like all-in-one platform for every single event in your life or your kid's life. You use this platform.
Yeah, then it becomes a life event thing. So at that point, it's a huge market.
It's like, you start off in one niche and then, you pivot, right? Yeah. Amazon,
it's a family service.
Right?
It's a family.
Snapchat, pivot, right? You just...
Yeah. You're selling family memories, really. At the end of the day, that's what this brand
you start with the most taboo, like crazy memory to kind of like startle people, and then you get them addicted.
But
Google was just a search engine.
It hits a trend, though,
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, that's actually... I'm liking this more. Okay, so... Next one. Is there current traction or the potential for product market fit? I'll let Michael comment.
I think there's potential. I think current traction, doesn't really exist. So probably not. But if I were to compare it to like people who keep, who bank stem cells for their kids, or like that actually has more medical and scientific purpose for that.
Yeah.
But maybe like keeping like the umbilical cord or something like a hair on your baby, on the baby's head from the day they were born.
Cremating your ashes, making it into jewelry.
That also but that's actually one as well, like a celebration of life kind of thing.
Exactly.
For people and like animals too. You can have your dog in a necklace or like kind of like that. So that I feel like that
the dog's in here,
the dog's right.
Give us a bark.
Oh,
no dog in there. No dog in there. There's a little puppy.
So my idea's not yet come to fruition.
It's not.
Once it's like a huge like machine, the dog's out.
Then the dog's out.
Yeah.
Then the wolves out. The wolves
are out.
The wolves are here. The wolves are here.
All
right. So that's a yes, maybe.
Maybe. Potentially, yeah.
Solid business model with path to monetization. I think back to your point, there is a path to monetization.
Yeah.
It's a matter of kind of where you cap that, and I think that all three of us understand it's limited, but also it could be uncapped if we're at that point of all intimate experiences, family memories. But in its current state, I would say yes, but not a ton of monetization. Like probably good enough for like a small company to survive and thrive. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I think the path might be a little shaky right now to really monetize and then exit in the future. But I think, with anything, you get enough users, you become tasty for someone else.
Exactly.
And I think the key strategy is like getting, either influencers or celebrities, high profile elitist people really backing your platform.
Yeah.
And then you can see
yeah.
these users who actually have a lot more stature and can help make connections for you to possibly, like if a third party or agency or a company wants to acquire you down the road just for, you know, your data and assets.
Totally. Yeah. So I think for that one, I'll just say, solid business model.
Nice.
Yeah.
But it's just unclear what the business model is as we use.
Yeah.
So
we don't know. It's going to take shape
yes
as the
for
market
now,
fleshes out.
No for
flesh
later.
out.
Yeah. And then next one is the tech feasible?
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Yeah, it's everything
simple.
exists. Nothing is novel about this. Yeah.
Biggest things here would just be the emphasis on privacy.
Yeah.
And emphasis on not like you don't want to leak anything. So there's a lot of legal auditing type of things that need to happen here.
Yeah, it needs to be highly contractual.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why it does actually tie into the business model for the future. Like if we're the only platform to do it and can provide these guarantees, and we foot the bill of if we break any of these rules or any legal contracts, then that shifts away a lot of the like risk from people using this platform. Right. Which is why they would probably use us versus someone else who's less willing to take this risk, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So I think it's possible, and the tech enables the business too. And then last, can we see a path to scale or exit? I'm gonna go and say no for this one, but I'm gonna see what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's way too early stages. Like, I mean, just perhaps if we see the proper tailwinds in this industry that will propel the company to just amass a large amount of users, you know, then I mean, it kind of ties in with the path to monetization, right? If you can't really monetize appropriately, you're no way you're going to be able to exit. But if you make yourself tasty enough, I always say someone may find you interesting. But I'm going to say probably not either on this one. Yeah. You think so, or what? What are your thoughts? You think?
Oh no, I feel like, I say I'm not that ambitious.
That's true.
Yeah.
He's the founder here, so you know it's biased. It's biased.
Well, so
you gotta believe
catch the wave.
You gotta believe it.
Wave.
No, I respect. You gotta believe in your company. You know what I mean?
Oh, I believe wholeheartedly.
But you believe it to an extent.
Unicorn bound.
You know, I want to invent the first airplane, but you guys can make a Boeing. You know, I want to be Orville and Wilbur.
Yeah, like you want to be.
He wants to walk. He wants to walk so we can fly or run.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right?
You walk so we can run.
Yeah.
Photography so you can preconcept.
I think just I think because preconception photography sounds so legit until you think about it. Like, every time I think about the term, I laugh so hard.
People are going to be preconceiving more because this exists, is what he's trying to say. Because this is going to be commemorized.
We're solving the population crisis is what we're doing.
And think about
I don't think we have a population crisis.
Hey, we might.
Sex sells.
Sex sells.
Dang, that's...
Preconception sells.
Taboo sells, yeah. Taboo clickbait, man. Yeah, I think we're at a good place here. I mean, that basically, if I look at what we did here, right?
Yeah.
We gave 1 no, 1 maybe, and 4 yeses.
Yeah.
So
I think it's unsure, but I think there's a possibility here that it can actually it could be a viable business model. I definitely think should the market allow it, this new market, you know, the company it would be on good standing, I believe. Yeah.
So overall, I mean, that gives us 4 out of 6, which is pretty solid.
Pretty solid.
We've had ideas where we're 2 out of 6. You know?
Yeah.
Still fun time. This is feasible, reasonable, and overall it's a fun idea.
Very fun.
Because originally I was just what? And then I was and I was okay, you know, and I think that's my attitude right now to it. So
yeah. Did you like this idea better than your downward dog idea? Or which one were you more partial
Which one
to?
did you prefer talking about?
Oh, definitely this one.
This one?
But the downward dog one is a little bit like if I was already a millionaire, I'd see
you just want to prank people.
Yeah.
You
got punked.
Pussy Tube as a business.
Ashton Kutcher on Punked. You're just you came to this event where you're just downward dogging for an hour. Gotcha.
But it could also spread too, because people who just have a lot of time on their hands will be oh. Wow.
So the same people who are paying for preconception videos are going to be talking about it at these downward dog.
You're talking about the preconception video as you do downward dog for an hour. What are you talking about for an hour? Preconception.
These people are in downward dog filming the videos, bro.
Think about it. It's like a silent retreat. You sort of just stay in the same position.
Yeah.
But it's downward dog.
And it's
everyone's favorite position.
That's true. It's flexible.
Other than the position in your preconception video.
It might be the same.
It could be the same.
It could be the same.
Yeah.
So
we're not restricted.
Okay.
All right. I think that wraps up our startup segment. Yeah.
I think it wraps it up too.
I appreciate you bringing that idea.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad I got to share this and bring it out to the world.
Yeah, I think we're glad we were able to talk about a lot of cool things today. You know, everything about your travels to mental health a very important topic, and
Yeah.
the startup idea, which I hope everyone enjoyed listening to. I think we're just gonna wind down the episode and kind of just do a quick plug, a few quick plugs and closing words, and call it. So just a reminder, we're now on YouTube and also Instagram and Spotify. BigData.dimsum. On Spotify, it's Big Data and Dimsum.
Yes.
Please, join us, look at the reels, catch what's coming next. Also, give us your suggestions for startup ideas, topics, anything you guys want to see in the podcast.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear it.
Remember, our email is still live. bigdata.dimsum@gmail.com.
Exactly. We love brand consistency.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's it from our plugs.
Any plug you have?
You have any plugs?
You want to plug?
Or last words?
No, thank you for having me. No plugs for me. Just have a good time. Remember, kick back, enjoy yourself.
Love it. Love that. Love that. Preach.
All right. Well.
Signing off.
Peace.
Peace.
Take care.